4 lynx kittens are about to be swept away by a raging river.
Help!
The ranger can only watch helplessly as they face certain death.
No.
Then, out of nowhere, a tiger appears and dives into the water, rescuing them one by one as if they were its own. But the real secret does not lie in the rescue itself. It lies in the identity of that tiger. The branch snaps with a sound like a gunshot, echoing through the canyon. It's the only warning before the world falls apart. 4 tiny lynx kittens are clinging to the edge of a rotting limb, their claws digging into the soft bark as the wood splinters below them. The river is a churning monster, fueled by the spring thaw and hungry for anything that falls in. On the bank, a veteran ranger named Mark stands paralyzed. He's seen a lot in these woods, but this is a death sentence. He's too far away. The current is too fast. There is no way a human can reach them in time. He watches, heart in his throat, as the first kitten loses its grip and begins to slide. But then, the unthinkable happens. A massive shadow bursts from the underbrush. It's a tiger, an apex predator that should, by all laws of nature, be looking at these kittens as a snack. But it doesn't crouch to hunt. It doesn't wait. The tiger lunges into the icy, roaring water at the exact second the branch gives way. This isn't a calculated move for a meal. It's an explosion of pure instinct. The ranger watches in stunned silence as the tiger fights the crushing weight of the current. The water pulls at its massive frame, trying to drag it downstream. But the tiger is a force of nature. It reaches the first kitten, its massive jaws opening wide. Mark expects the worst. But the tiger is incredibly gentle. It scoops the tiny, shivering creature into its mouth and turns back toward the shore. Every second is a battle. The tiger's muscles bulge as it claws its way back to the muddy bank, depositing the first kitten safely on the grass before turning right back around. It doesn't hesitate. It doesn't look for a reward. It plunges back into the freezing depths for the second kitten, then the third. The danger is escalating. The remaining branch is vibrating, held together by a few final threads of fiber. Just as the tiger reaches the fourth kitten, the wood finally shatters. The tiny animal is tossed into the foam, disappearing for a heartbeat. Mark feels his stomach drop. It's over. But then, the tiger's head breaks the surface, the kitten held firmly but safely by the scruff of its neck. When the tiger finally climbs onto the bank with the last survivor, Mark is still frozen. He's gripping his binoculars so hard his knuckles are white. He's waiting for the tiger to realize it has 4 easy meals sitting right there. He's ready to intervene, though he knows how dangerous that would be. But the tiger does something that shatters every biological theory Mark has ever learned. It doesn't growl. It doesn't bare its teeth. Instead, the massive cat lies down on the wet grass and nudges the kittens toward its belly. It's providing warmth. It's offering a sanctuary. The kittens, still shivering and traumatized, instinctively crawl into the thick orange fur, seeking the heat of a creature that should be their greatest nightmare. Mark decides to stay. He knows he should report this, or maybe move on, but he can't look away. This is a glitch in the natural order, or perhaps something much deeper. Over the next few days, he camps a safe distance away, watching through his long-range lens. What he witnesses is truly unbelievable. The tiger isn't just protecting them, it's parenting them. When the kittens cry out in hunger, the tiger leaves for a few hours and returns, not with a kill for itself, but with food for the lynx. It drops a small rabbit near the kittens and waits. It watches them eat with a patience that seems almost human. It's guarding their perimeter, pacing in a wide circle around the thicket where they rest, making sure no other predator gets close. This isn't just a random act of kindness anymore. This is a commitment. Mark watches as the tiger leads the kittens away from the river, moving slowly so their small legs can keep up. If one falls behind, the tiger stops and waits, or gently nudges it forward with its massive nose, The bond is undeniable. Mark finds himself questioning everything he's ever known about the wild. We're taught that nature is red in tooth and claw, that it's a world of survival of the fittest where empathy has no place. But here, in the heart of the wilderness, an apex killer has become a guardian. The peace doesn't last. On the fourth day, the atmosphere in the forest shifts. Mark feels it before he sees it. The birds go silent. The air feels heavy. Through his binoculars, he sees the tiger's ears twitch. It stands up, its body tensing like a coiled spring. From the shadows of the tree line, they emerge a pack of gray wolves. They're lean, hungry, and they've been tracking the scent of the kittens. There are 6 of them, a coordinated killing machine. They know the tiger is powerful, but they also know it's outnumbered. They begin to circle, their eyes locked on the 4 small kittens huddled behind the tiger's massive front legs. The tiger lets out a low, guttural warning that vibrates in Mark's chest even from a distance. It's a sound of pure defiance. The wolves don't back down. They know how to play this game. They dart in and out, trying to draw the tiger away from the center so one of them can snag a kitten. The tiger is a whirlwind of fur and claws, swiping at anything that gets too close, but it's struggling. It has to stay anchored to the spot to keep the kittens covered. It's a defensive battle, and in the wild, the defender eventually tires out. A large alpha wolf lunges, and the tiger turns to meet it. But a second wolf seizes the opportunity. It darts in from the blind side, snapping its jaws at the smallest kitten. The tiger realizes the trap just in time and throws its body over the young ones, taking a deep, jagged bite to its hind leg in the process. Mark sees the blood hit the snow. His heart is pounding against his ribs. He can't watch this happen. He knows he's breaking every rule of his profession by interfering, but he can't let this guardian fall. Mark grabs his flare gun and his heavy-duty air horn. He charges down the slope, screaming at the top of his lungs, firing the flares into the air. The bright red light and the deafening blast of the horn shatter the focus of the pack. Wolves are smart. They know when a human with loud, fire-breathing tools enters the fray. The risk isn't worth the reward. They snarl, looking back at their wounded prize, but ultimately, they vanish into the trees like smoke. The clearing falls into a heavy, ringing silence. Mark stops 10 feet away, his chest heaving. The tiger is still standing, though its back leg is trembling. It's bleeding heavily. Mark expects the tiger to turn its aggression on him. He's ready to run, but the tiger just looks at him. It's a long, steady gaze, devoid of the usual wild fury. And that's when Mark sees it. A small, distinctive notch on the tip of the tiger's left ear. A memory hits him with the force of a tidal wave. 6 years ago, Mark had found a mangled, starving tiger cub caught in a poacher's snare. It had been days away from death. He had spent months at the rehabilitation center, bottle feeding that cub, treating its infections, and watching it grow. He remembered the night he released it back into the deep woods. He had wondered if it would survive, if it would remember the human who had given it a second chance. He looks at the notch on the ear again. There's no mistake. This is that cub. The tiger he had saved years ago is now the one saving others. The realization is gut-wrenching. The tiger hasn't forgotten the mercy it was shown. It had carried that seed of compassion through all those years of living in a world of kill or be killed. Mark moves closer, slowly, keeping his hands visible. The tiger doesn't move. It lets out a soft huff, a sound Mark hasn't heard since the rehab center. It's a greeting. Mark reaches into his pack for his medical kit. He knows he has to be quick. The wound is deep, and infections in the wild are a death sentence. As he works, the tiger remains incredibly still, its massive head resting on its paws while the kittens peek out from under its tail. They seem to understand that this human is a friend. Mark cleans the wound and applies a heavy dose of antiseptic and a temporary adhesive bandage. His hands are shaking, not out of fear, but out of the sheer weight of the moment. He's touching a living legend, a creature that has defied the very definition of a predator. 7. When he's finished, Mark steps back. The tiger stands up, testing its weight on its leg. It looks at the kittens, then back at Mark. There is a profound moment of connection. A silent understanding between two beings from two completely different worlds. The tiger lets out one last soft sound, a quiet rumble of gratitude. And then it begins to move. It nudges the kittens, signaling them to follow. They trot after it, their tiny forms disappearing into the thick underbrush, following the guardian who gave everything to keep them safe. Mark stays in that clearing for a long time, watching the spot where they vanished. He knows that his life has been permanently changed. He went into the woods that day to monitor a river, but he walked away with a lesson that no textbook could ever teach. He saw that the heart of a wild animal is more complex than we can ever imagine. He saw that a single act of kindness, performed years ago, can ripple through time and save lives he would never have reached. Have you ever seen an animal show a level of compassion that seemed almost human? Comment below the most unbelievable thing you've seen a wild animal do. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more incredible stories from the wild. The world is full of wonders, if only we take the time to look. That ranger will never look at the forest the same way again.
Time to move.
And neither will I. Because sometimes,
Thanks
the
for
most
watching.
dangerous
If
predator
this
in the
video
woods is also the one
warmed
with
your
the biggest
please
heart.
like and subscribe for more sweet stories.